Good morning, YouTube family. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Welcome to Happy Crappy Hour, our live stream from Escape from Crazytown. Good to see you guys coming on and glad that, wow, we have this time together every week. This is really awesome for me, and I hope it's been really good for you guys as well. It's a great time for us to connect and figure out what's going on in our lives and heal together. It's like group therapy. That's what I really love about this. So, just wanted to share with you this hour as we get on. I'm going to share with you as you're getting on. I'm going to share the happies and crappies this week that have happened. And this is what we do. We share our happies and crappies, and that way we learn from them and we learn what not to do and we learn what to keep on doing. Well, my crappy happened this morning. So this morning I was making my coffee, and I like to put a lot of milk in my coffee, probably far more than I should. And I spilled the whole cup of milk. It's like maybe half a cup of milk is what I like to put in my coffee, um, all over the counter, which then, of course, got into the cabinets and into um, into every drawer that was underneath of it and got everything dirty and wet that was inside the drawers and inside the cabinet and on the floor. Oh, you guys, so it's been quite a morning already for me. That was my crappy. But, so what did I learn from that? I learned to do my milk over the sink, pour my milk over the sink. But here's the deal. What's my happy from that? My happy is that I did not freak out. I did not, panic because it happened right before I had to go live with you guys. I didn't, yeah, it just didn't really throw me off. And I want to let you know that the healing that happens after Crazy Town is actually so good and it makes you so strong. It gives you stability. And this is what you get to look forward to. Your life is not always going to be in shambles. Your life is not always going to be like you're in shock therapy. A lot of us feel like we're being shocked throughout our day, throughout our week, because it's harder to handle stress. It's harder to handle things that go wrong after you've been in crazy town with your narcissist, right? And hopefully it's an ex narcissist at this point. But those of us who have gone through this trauma, it's hard to have normal life because you no longer feel normal, right? You feel like you're walking in a world where up is down and down is up, good is bad, bad is good. You're not trusting your judgment because you have put up with the craziness for so long that you're just reacting, right? You just learn to react. And in a lot of ways, you learn to suppress what you're really feeling in order to get along, in order to just not upset the narcissist anymore, right? We mold to the narcissist. Hey, Rye, good to see you. Rye Shine says hello from Ohio. Well, good to see you from Ohio. I'm glad you're on. Yeah, today our topic is going to be, does the narcissist spy on you or check up on you, right? A lot of times people have written in and said, and on some of my live streams have mentioned that they've seen their ex drive by their home. They've seen their ex show up where they know they were going to be. So they know that their ex is keeping tabs on them, their ex is checking up on them. And that's why I want to talk about this today because sometimes we also wish that the ex would keep check on us, right? Would check up on us. And we want to know that we still matter to the narcissist. We want to know actually that the narcissist is obsessed with us, right? Because, did we not mean that much to them? Did we not make much of an impact in their life? We want to know, are they even still thinking about us? And I want to let you know that yes, they do still think about you, whether it's good or bad. But the interesting thing is, there are times, or maybe there are a lot of times, that the narcissist looks back with regret, looks back Not remorse for what they did, but regret that they let you go. Regret that they don't have you anymore. And especially if they're in a new relationship, which they probably are already. If they're already in a new relationship and that is not working out with the new supply, and the new supply is going berserk on them, they are going to regret discarding you. So, of course, they're going to check back and see if you are still available and what their chances are of you taking them back. So, we're going to explore all of that today. So, glad to have you guys hopping on. And Obi-Wan, good to see you. Glad that you're here already. And John, good morning. Tales from the Narc side says if they don't check on you themselves, they send a flying monkey and their new and former supplies. Definitely check on you. Yes, you are so right. Absolutely. So not only does the Narc check on you, their new supply is going to check on you because the new supply is hearing everything about you. They want to know how crazy you are, or they want to know how amazing you are because the narcissist will use you to triangulate with them and tell them how perfect you were because they want their new supply to be perfect for them, right? They want their new supply to step it up and start performing. So that's when they'll exaggerate, possibly, right, about you. Now they're either exaggerating or they really are saying how wonderful you are. But for the most part, they will exaggerate how perfect you were. And that's when the new supply is going to want to know what the heck am I competing with, right? And maybe your style, maybe your hair, maybe your attitude, maybe just your personality. And it's so weird because men will do this too, right? Because if the new supply is a man, he's going to want to know what his competition is as well. And I've heard about that from both men and women who have been victims. They will talk about it's really interesting because narcissists, whether they're a man or a woman, a lot of their tactics are the same. A lot of their behavior is the same. So we're going to see this, whether you're a man or a woman coming off of a relationship. Your narcissist is going to check up on you, but their new supply a lot of times will also want to know what the competition is. They want to feel good about themselves, so they want to see that you're not as good as they are, right? They're already competing with you, which is bizarre because you're not even there. You're not competing with them in any way, but the new supply is going to feel like they have to compete with you because the narcissist, they can tell that their narcissist, your ex, their current narcissist is not really present. So they're always going to wonder, like, who's on the phone with them? And why are they hiding their phone all the time? They're going to suspect that the narc is getting back together with you, whether or not they are. So, of course, they're going to check up on you and follow you around and see who your friends are. And so be careful of that. Well, you guys, welcome. And I'm really glad to see you guys hopping on. Obi says, oh, Eric, good morning, says hi from Scotland. Good evening. Yes. I'm so glad you're coming on before you go to bed. This is awesome. I guess it's probably not that late yet there. Obi-Wan says, paying the empath for child support. Oh, hold on. I missed something here. Oh, it says, what happens when you got your narc to turn your child against you? And your kid wants nothing to do with you, but as a narc, got caught in the dumb games. Now they're stuck with the kid. Playing the empath for child support. Oh. You're paying the, wait. I guess I'm kind of confused here, Obi. You're saying that you're paying the empath for child support. Well, if you can clear that up, that would be great. BB Scott, good morning. And John, good morning to you. Says, do you have an email I can send a message to you? Yes, I do. My email is escapefromcrazytown@gmail.com. So all one word, escapefromcrazytown@gmail.com. If you want to email me, I will take a look. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, so today we're talking. Well, let me see if I can figure out what Obi was saying here. When you, okay, so your child's turned against you. Now your kid wants nothing to do with you. Okay, but now the narc has the child and you're paying. So that's what confused me. Is the narc the impasse now, or I'm not sure. But yeah, you're going to end up having to pay for child support when that happens, which is really rough. And that's so, many of us who've had relationships with a narcissist, we're very lucky not to have any children with them. It's very hard once you have a child with a narcissist because there's going to be those years, 14 to 18 years or whatever number of years after you've left the narcissist until they turn 18, that you're going to have to share custody or at least share the expenses of the child. So in those cases, you it would benefit you so much to get a lawyer. What I keep hearing from people who've gone through divorce, whether it's even with a narcissist or not, you want to get a lawyer, and because you don't know the law as well, you can maybe try to do as much research for yourself as possible. Maybe consult with lawyer friends, but ideally you want to get a lawyer who's going to be going to bat for you in those cases and can get you the best representation and make sure that the narcissist doesn't take advantage of you. I was just talking to a friend recently who was telling me about how she was taken advantage of by her ex during the divorce settlement because she thought that she would represent herself, and she thought she knew the rules and the laws, and she must have read something that wasn't applicable anymore, and it turned out to go against her. So now it affected her financially for the rest of the time. So she looks back and she wishes that she did have a counselor or an attorney. Just a recommendation to you guys. So, but when it comes to sharing with the narcissist a child and interacting, even if the child doesn't want to see you anymore, you're going to still have to have some interaction with the narcissist. Uh, in everything that you do, keep records. If it's child support, keep records of how much money, when you sent it, when they received it, if you have records of that. Um, when it was taken out of your account, you can see that. So keep all those records forever. Do not get rid of any of them. I know they say tax records, you can get rid of them after a certain number of years. But in the case with a narcissist, in a case with an ex, keep every record all the time. And any interaction that you have with them, whether it's a text or a phone call or a visit, right? Make sure you record all of it. Even if it's not video recording or audio recording, make sure you write down what happened and the date and time and where it happened, okay? Keep a log of all of that. I would keep it on a paper. I'm old school, so I would keep it in a notebook or a binder, and you'll always have it. A lot of times we change out computers and we don't move our accounts, or we have cloud accounts, but we have like so many files that we're not going to find it unless you're very organized. Then in that case, do it in on your computer. Well, you guys, let me see here. Oh, okay. Oh, you got your narc paying for child support, and I don't even have the kid. Okay, OB, I don't understand how that works. If you don't have the child, and yet, oh, is it because the child doesn't want to live with you at this point? Yeah. Rye Shine says, OB, the child is with the narc, but you are being paid child support. Yeah, that's a good question. OB seems a little sketch to me. OB says, no, the narc has the kid and paying child support at the same time. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works or how long that is going to hold up, OB. It doesn't make sense to me. Is it? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I think I get it. Because the narcissist has turned the child against you. The child doesn't want to stay with you, but that's the child's choice. But here's the thing, I would think, OB, that that hurts you, that your child doesn't want to stay with you. So even though it works out to your benefit financially, I'm sure you would prefer to have the child in your life and to have a relationship. So, if anything, I mean, I'm glad that it worked out financially well for you, but um, at this point, I'm sure you're starting to look at how then do you build a relationship with the child. And that is a whole different animal in itself because the child, if they're living with the narcissist, they are going to be tainted against you. The narcissist is going to be speaking badly about you. So, how do you overcome that? How can you fight that? And the only way to fight that is to be on your top game when you're with the child or when you do interact with the child, and never ever be the one that puts the child between you and the narcissist, right? Don't ever put the child in the middle of any of your fights or arguments. Don't put that kind of pressure on them. Be the kind of person or the kind of parent that the child would feel safe to be with. So if you want to turn the child or help the child or prevent them from becoming more and more like the narcissist, you know, even if you do everything perfectly, there's no guarantee, but at least you'll know that you made the right choices, that you made the effort. So I would really highly encourage you, if you can, find counselors either online or even videos, right? There's got to be a lot of child family counselors out there that can help you figure out how to interact with your child to win them back over, right? To win their trust back over and to help them see the what is it? Why can't I think of the word? Disparity between you and your ex. So they can make discernment that you're not the one who's being bad, right? You're not the one who's hurtful. You're not the one as your ex is telling them. So that's what I would suggest. Yeah, Clifford says, we escaped from Crazytown. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, yeah. So Obi, you said you were a counselor until, see, so you have some background in that. Var, good to see you, says hello from Connecticut. Can you recommend a co-parenting app? I also need how to learn how not to get frustrated and learn how to write. Yeah. There are a few tools. I don't know of a co-parenting app. Yeah, I would just try to look it up online, honestly. Go into, I'm trying to think of, no, the kind of psychologists I have followed so far have not really been family psychologists. They've been mostly focused on psychopaths. And you don't want to share custody with a psychopath, right? I mean, sometimes you have to if they're a narcissist and they're really out there. But generally, you're going to have to just look it up and see what you can find out and read on your own. I would do a lot of reading. You can go and go to your library, and they have a huge wealth of of supply for you. I mean, they're going to have so much that you're going to not have a problem reading. I would really highly suggest that. Read a lot of these types of books, but go into categories in your library app and or library site and see what they recommend. And then from there, you'll find probably a lot of the psychologists, family psychologists, will have a a resource. Oh, I just thought of one. Why didn't I think of this? I'm so sorry, I didn't think of this. But a really good resource is called Focus on the Family. It's called, again, Focus on the Family. They're a Christian organization that helps parents raise healthy minded children. Now, they also have to deal with divorced parents, right? Even though they're Christian, of course, they still have to deal with divorced parents who have to raise a child together and co-parent. So I think they have a lot of really good resources. James Dobson is the founder of Focus on the Family. Again, it's James Dobson, Dobson. And he has written multiple books on raising children and co-parenting and all of that. So I would highly recommend them if you want to go online and look that up. And I'm pretty sure they have a website. They are getting more into, I think they even have a YouTube channel. They have counselors. They hire a lot of counselors who do family oriented counseling. So that is a very good resource. That's what I would recommend. Go there. Focus on the family. Is what it's called. Yep. Well, you guys, let me see. I'm just gonna check and see if what I missed. Did I say hi to you, BB Scott? Good morning. You're welcome, John. And Seavar says, from Connecticut. Hello from Connecticut. Yes, I just read that one. Good to see you. Clifford, good to see you. Yeah. Says we escaped from Crazytown. Our family wizard. What is that? Oh, the app is called Our Family Wizard. Okay. That's good. But I do highly recommend focus on the family. Actually, I have a friend who is a counselor there. I haven't used his services, but he does actually do counseling, family oriented counseling, children and parents and all. So I absolutely know they do that. Yeah. Yeah. Obi had said, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Yes, I have a friend who says that all the time and has raised his kids with that mantra because they get into such crazy trouble or, make mistakes here and there. And that's what my friend would say to them. Well, you guys, we are back to the topic. I mean, feel free to keep asking questions, but oh, okay. Yeah, feel free to ask questions, but we're gonna also plow through some of these topics or questions and points that I wanted to make today for a little bit of a teaching and jump in with any of your recommendations as well. I appreciate that. BB Scott says co-parent app is Our Family Wizard. Yes. And BB Scott says counter parent. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Yep. Okay, you guys. So the narcissist does check up on you. I know a lot of times when people have been discarded, or even if you're the one who ends up doing the discard, right? You're still hurt, and you're going to still feel like, did I just waste all those years? Did I waste all those months? However long you were with them. And not only that, did you waste your love, right, on them? You feel like you poured so much of yourself into the relationship. You opened up. Maybe, I have a friend who years ago, he has a very hard time opening up to people because of the way, his trauma, his childhood has been. He'd been abandoned by his mother, who then he was a firstborn out of wedlock. And in his culture, it was very, very frowned upon to be a child of a single mom. And then not only that, their culture is that, so he's not from here. Their culture is that she had an affair with someone not from their culture, not from their country. So he's he's a biracial child. So again, that's another mark against him. And he wasn't very well accepted, even within the town, in the community. So having that, she then decides to marry someone from their community, from their country, and then has 4 other kids with them, with this man. And so my friend is the oldest of 5 kids. This is not his father. He's a mixed race, and his mother would only include the younger 4 in the family outings and leave him out. So he knew from a very young age, like, he was not welcome. And of course, the stepfather was a jerk to him, calling him, actually, he was part white. So they didn't like that. And they would call him white boy. So it's racism against him for being mixed with a Caucasian. So, and he looked it too, he had lighter skin and all that. So they would mock him, and his brother and sisters did not go close to him. They were pretty much kept away from him, even though they lived in the same home. And whenever the family would go out for anything, for dinner or any outing at all, they would leave him behind because he was an embarrassment to them. So that was crap. All right. So he was raised like this. And then later on, at 9 years old, she puts him up for adoption. At 9 years old, knowing that she's keeping the other four young ones. So he's fully aware of what is happening, that she's completely abandoning him. Although it was an abusive situation, you're still traumatized from being discarded by your own family, by your own mother, and your own brother and sisters don't seem to care. And you're left out in the cold and you end up being adopted into some other family or a couple by a couple that doesn't seem to be all that involved. They weren't exactly a warm family either that he got adopted into. So anyway, so he met this woman, and for the first time in his life, he felt secure, right? He felt like this is someone that he can really love, that he had fallen in love with, and she even had a child that he then grew to love as well and became a father figure too. So now there's this woman. He's finally fallen in love with her. Or not finally, but he finally, for the first time in his life, he's fallen in love. He's giving and pouring into this relationship. And he did a lot. I'm talking about physically built stuff onto her home for her, because he was in construction and he was really skilled in that way. So here he is pouring out everything. And she even said to him, how come you don't share stuff with me, intimate, emotional stuff? So he did, for the first time, he actually opened up his heart. And some of you guys may be able to relate to this because this is what not just narcissists, but definitely narcissists will do this. They get you to feel comfortable and they push you to open up to them because they want to have this connection with you, but they also use this connection as a way to control you. So the more they know about you, you start to feel like, wow, they really want to know me, but then you don't realize that they're going to be using that against you. So this is what was happening with him. She was pushing him to know more about, his past and everything. And he never would talk to other people about his past. I only found out about it years later after he was traumatized by her and he was talking to me about what happened and that he opened up to her. And I knew a bit of his background just because I knew the people who did this to him. So he told me how he opened up to this woman and for the first time shared with her what happened to him. It's a very vulnerable thing for a man to have to share. So it seemed like almost right after he shared that, like within a couple of months, she breaks up with him. And pretty much it took him at least a decade to recover from that. And I was there to observe that whole decade of him recovering from her. Excuse me, you guys. Need to get some water here. I'm getting kind of dry, so hold on a second. Much better. So, yeah, when she discarded him, it just tore up his heart because he started to love the little boy that she had. He had been a part of her life for at least, I think it was a couple of years. And he thought he was building, when he was building onto her home and making all these improvements, like he was nesting. He was building what he thought was their future together, right? And she ends up ripping that out of his heart, out of his life. And it really, I can't believe that she would do that. Like, why would you want to get to know someone so intimately well and then just discard them? Like, it's one thing if they don't know you very well and they discard you and you're like, yeah, the heck with them, and you move on. But now it's someone who knows all of your most vulnerable, painful times, and they still act like, well, I don't care, get out of my life. That is being discarded. That's being abandoned again. And you guys, when that happens, you just feel like, did I just waste all my time with this person? Did they not care? Why did they do that? Why would they even ask me about who I am and what makes me tick and what happened in my past and who my parents were? And, what was my childhood like? Why did they even ask all of this? If it's, it's just was it just a game to them? Am I just information? Am I just like this pamphlet that they were reading and then they tossed aside? You're a whole person, you're a whole life. You have experiences that matter. You have experiences that make you who you are, right? Whether some of those experiences are bad, but they can make you stronger. They can make you, even though you're vulnerable, they make you human, right? They make you able to empathize then with others who've gone through that kind of trauma. They make you an incredible, beautiful, amazing, wonderful person. All of your experiences do. And then when someone knows about your experiences, it's almost like they know who you are at your core, and then they discard you. That is what a narcissist does not even comprehend what they're doing. They don't even understand the damage that they cause when they do that. So a lot of times we look back and we go, did they really even care? Do they even think about me? Because that connection is so deep. Once we connect with someone on that emotional level, we want to know that they actually cared. And I want to let you know that, they don't necessarily care in the way that we want them to care, or that even that we're capable of caring. They're not capable of caring the way we are. What their focus is obsession. Like they will check up on you, but it's because of their obsession with you. They want to be the winner. They want to make sure that they didn't miss out, right? They want to watch you and see if you're not doing well, then they can feel better about their choice for, about discarding you. And I want to tell you this, by the way, is a good thing for you. And I'll tell you why. You can really get back at the narcissist if they are checking on you. Not all narcissists will make it very obvious that they're checking on you, but let me tell you, someone was saying that earlier, that even if it's not the narcissist that's driving by your house and checking on you, it's probably the new supply or their flying monkeys um, that's driving by your house checking on you. And then they're going to report back to the narcissist. Or in the new supplies case, they're going to be competing with you. And let me tell you something. This is where you get back. You make yourself worthy to be the winner in this competition. It's always a competition with the narcissist, by the way. It is always a competition with the narcissist, but you can win. The reason I say that is because when you start working on yourself, when you start getting into shape, when you start changing the way, your unhealthy diet, your unhealthy habits, you start getting better sleep, you watch a lot of positive, good things, you fill your mind with goodness, you start taking classes, you pour into your work, you build a new life, you get physically fit, you get mentally fit, you get financially fit. And think about this. When you are doing that and the narcissist is driving by your house and they see that you're driving a nicer car, they see that you have people over for dinner, they see that you have moved on to a healthy minded, healthy lifestyle. They are going to see that they did not win. They are going to see that you made out so much better once they left. That's when they're going to regret. That's when they're going to realize that they missed out. And it's not that you're doing all of this to get them back into your life. Excuse me. So dry. I kept forgetting to drink this morning. But when you do this, they are going to look at you and realize that they lost. That's the cool thing, you guys. They're going to realize that they were the thing that was holding you back. And in fact, you can use that as the thing that propels you forward, right? Your pain from them, your hurt from them, your the trauma. Don't let the trauma take over your life. You are in control of that trauma. You get to decide when you visit that trauma. You don't need to allow that trauma to take over your entire life. Um, I'll get into some of that a little bit later, but I wanted to share with you that story about my friend because many of us have been through a situation like that where we shared deep, intimate knowledge or information about ourselves, and then the narcissist leaves, and then we're like, oh my gosh, now you kind of feel exposed. You kind of feel like everybody now is going to know your business, right? And I've told people about this before. Don't worry about that because here's the deal. Whether or not you tell the narcissist all these, intimate things about yourself or not, they're going to make up stuff about you anyway when they talk to other people. So, whenever they do talk about you to other people and they talk about your trauma or they talk about what happened to you, they're going to embellish it. They're going to change the story up. They might not even use your story. They may even completely exaggerate your story to something bizarre, whatever serves their purpose, right? Um, so it's not even going to sound like your story when they retell it. So don't worry that they know stuff about you. And here's the second thing, you can deny, okay? You can deny anything that they say because you don't even know what they're saying. But if people start looking at you weirdly or people start treating you weirdly, you don't have to react to how they're treating you. You just react as if you are a completely whole, mature, put together, strong person. You don't, we don't have to behave the way other people see us. We behave the way we see ourselves. So that's why I talk about working on yourself. That's why I talk about, look, oh my gosh, the world is not over. And in fact, this could be your launching pad for a really amazing life. You use this. You can use this, the trauma. You can use the betrayal. You can use the discard. You can use the abuse, everything that they did. Use it as something that propels you into something good, like motivates you into something good. Because you're like, the heck with that. I'm going to leave that behind. And the motivation here is that as you move farther and farther away from it, as you move towards healthy lifestyles and healthy minded friends and choosing people wisely to be in your life, now you're going to be a little more careful about who you choose and allow into your life and be more free, right? You're going to start freeing up your mind a lot more. You're not going to be held back by their darkness anymore, their mood swings and their manipulations and their negativity and even their addictions, right? You're not going to be held back by that anymore. You are actually so much more free now than you ever were with the narcissist. You might have been financially secure, possibly more with the narcissist, but you were never emotionally and spiritually and intellectually free. You were oppressed. And some people do that though, some people sell their freedom for security. Some people will feel like, no, but I want this financial security, so I'll stay. And they give up their independence, they give up their self worth, they give up their families, right? Connections with friends and family. They give up so much and they don't realize they're being oppressed because honestly, they're voluntarily giving these things up. But then it's so hard to go seeking those things back, right? So hard to add those things back into your life once you've given them up. And little by little, the narcissist takes over their world. Little by little, the narcissist then starts controlling every little aspect of their world. You become a slave. So don't allow the narcissist to do that. And now that they're out of your life, recognize like the fence is wide open. The gate is open. You used to have to live in this corral, in this cage that the narcissist put you in. And now that gate is open. And a lot of times people don't even go out the gate because they're afraid. They're like, what's out there? I don't even know what's out there. So they don't even try to go outside of the gate. And they'll stay connected to the narcissist. They'll stay obsessed with the narcissist. They'll stay obsessed with a new supply. They'll continually put themselves down for not having a better life. And they don't allow themselves to be propelled forward outside the gate. So you guys, My advice to you today is get outside the gate. But if you are looking back and you're wondering, does the narcissist even care about me? Let me tell you, yes, the narcissist did care, because why would you have even had a relationship with them, right? So they did care at some point. They absolutely cared enough to impress you. They absolutely cared enough to want to have you. They absolutely cared enough that they thought that you would benefit their life. That's why they took you in. That's why they grabbed you. That's why they attached to you. So you have worth. You do. You absolutely have worth. You have that spark inside of you that drew them to you in the first place, and it is still there. They did not take that. They may have quelched it a bit, right? They may have covered it up, but you are still who you are. Well, you guys, here's the deal. So, as they are checking up on you, it's because they are obsessed. They want to know that they're doing better than you are. They want to know if, here's the second reason why they check up on you. They want to know if they still have access to you. So, you see how much you still matter to them? They want to know that you are still an option if things don't work out with the new supply. And I want to tell you, that's another big reason that should motivate you to get better, because you do not want to be vulnerable when they want to hoover you back in. You do not want to be in that place where you would even entertain the idea of taking them back, because it's going to get worse. And I know many of us have been there where we felt like, if only they would come back, I would take them right now. Or if only they would call and I can reach back to them. Oh my gosh. And we talk ourselves into, not letting go of them. We talk ourselves into thinking that things will be different the second time around. And we put our whole life on hold. I have seen people put their life on hold for years, hoping that the narcissist will come back into their life. And then when the narcissist does come back into some of those people's lives, they wreck it. Let me tell you, they wreck that person's life. It's like they get dug into a bigger hole, a deeper hole than they ever were before the narcissist came back. So if you can imagine how low you're feeling right now, and then to have someone come back that you think is going to help you get out of this hole, and instead they bring a shovel and they make the hole even deeper, and you're like, what the heck? I can't even get out of this now. So yeah, that's how you have to see the narcissist. Don't fantasize about how wonderful this person's going to be when they come back. Think about the horror that they're going to cause when they come back. Well, you guys, let me see. There are a few more comments here. How do you say this? Kiskiosity. Good to see you. Yeah. Hold on, let me see. Oh, okay. This is interesting, you guys. I haven't heard of this either. Counter parenting. Oh, is that when a parent is being manipulative and kind of a negative, I guess, to other parent, and then you have to counter parent? Where how do you then respond to that so that you provide a different, a positive, right, to the parenting while they're providing the negative? You want to counter that. You don't want to add more negative, right? Two negatives together. You don't want that. You want to bring in a positive. Okay. I think that's what it is, right? That's my guess. I haven't looked that up. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Obi, you are so right about that. Says, okay, hold on. Kobe says, sometimes it's too painful if there's nothing you can do to see your kid. So you have to let go and step back and let the kid learn why their mom is single. Yes. Yes, Obi. Thank you for bringing that up, because here's the other deal with co-parenting, if you will, where the narcissist has turned your child against you and your child refuses to even see you or interact with you. So there's nothing you can do. You can send, I don't know, on their birthday, a gift and a card. But if they don't want to talk to you, you can still try calling, and leave a message. Hi, just letting you know I'm still thinking about you and hope you're doing well, whatever you normally say to your child. But you're right. Sometimes you have to step back, and you don't want the child to think that you don't remember them anymore and you're not thinking about them. But you step back as in you don't push your way back into their life. They are going to have to figure it out. And let me tell you, a lot of times they do. A lot of times they step back and they realize, I'm trying to remember, I did have a friend who was telling me about how they never knew what their parent was. Um, they didn't know that their dad was abusive, because the dad was always like, he made a lot of money. So whenever they were with the dad, he spoiled them. He bought them things. He took them places. The mom didn't quite have that as much, so she couldn't do as much with them, but she poured into their everyday life. She was there for them for their music recitals. She was there for their sports. She was there for all their academic whatever achievements, and helped them with homework. And but she couldn't give them all these beautiful, wonderful things that the dad was, all these amazing vacations. And they gravitated towards their dad, and they thought it was the mom that was the problem, right? They thought the mom, dad's so wonderful, must be mom. But as they got older, they started to, like in their teenage years, they started to realize how selfish their dad was. And that's when they were able to step back and go, wow, their mom has put up with a lot. And they, when they had arguments with their dad, when they had struggles or whatever, they, as teenagers do with parents, no matter how good you are, or how good you are to them, teenagers are going to go through questioning times. And when they were going through that with their dad, he did not respond in the way that a caring, loving, stable parent would. Like, he didn't have that capacity. He doesn't have that emotional connection with them. And so that's when they realized what their mom had been struggling against. Yep. Eventually, the kids, if they're somewhat stable, right? If they're in somewhat of a stable home. Now, imagine if they're in a home where both parents, not in the same home, but when they have divorced parents and they're both arguing back and forth, and they're always putting the kid in the middle, and the kid always feels like they're fighting for just sanity every day. They're not going to be able to step back and see the parents for who they really are. They're just struggling to survive each day. So that's why you want to do that counter parenting, where you provide the safe home, you provide the positive in their life as much as you can, right? And then you have to step back. If they should come to you, great, then you're ready. But if they don't come to you, you just have to be patient and allow them to see for themselves. Yeah, yeah. Let me go down a bit. Seavar says, obsession is right. My ex tried until I installed an outside camera. Whoa. Hey, you know what? That's a great idea, by the way, because some of these exes, they don't just drive by and check on you. They do get possessive. They're not even just obsessed. They might even get possessive. I have a friend who her ex would drive by and check up on her. He even moved into a house. Let me see how many doors down from her, like 4 or 5 doors down from her. May even have been 3 doors down from her. And of course, he would drive by like, I'm just checking the mail, and but he would look through her window to see, or even in her driveway to see if another person was there. And yeah, when she started dating somebody else, this other guy, he would come and park in her driveway and stay. And while he was there, the ex would drive by, see this guy's car, and realize, who the guy was. Now the ex would start driving by and I think twice slashed the, the new guy's tires. I mean, that's how crazy your ex could get and possibly worse, but having a camera is a good idea. She did not have a camera. And she was pretty sure it was him because who the heck else would be doing that, right? And he was continually trying to get back together with her. It's pretty creepy, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Just because, good to see you says, once you know, just go. Yes. Yeah. Shine says he was an excellent scammer. Yep. And each Hoover got worse. Sivar says, when you have to spend time and energy undoing the damage that is being done by the other parent, oh, that's counter parenting. Okay. Yeah, undoing the damage caused by the other parent. So you do the positive thing. You have to be careful there too, because sometimes the child could also start manipulating. So that's why some of these books are really good. So sometimes a child will tell each parent how bad the other parent is being, and the parent really isn't. But they notice that when they say negative things about the other parent, then they get rewarded, right? They get sympathy, they get taken out, they get bought gifts. So you have to be careful with that as well. Yes, Sivar says, also had to get a P.O. box for my mail. And he tried to move next to me as well. Cameras are cheap now. Yes, they are. You can buy them from Costco or something, even. But online, I think you can find some that are awesome. Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys, I wanted to cover a couple more things about when the narc is checking up on you. The worst part is when they're checking up on you just to see if they can come back to you. I know some people think, oh, that would be wonderful, and they want that, right? Because they're missing the narcissist so much. I was reading, um, I was reading something where this woman, I think it was her journal or something. Excuse me, and it covered about, I want to say, did it cover a year? A little bit more than a year. And throughout that year, you can see like how she kept pining for this one guy to come back. And he was married and had a kid. All right. He's married, has a kid, and they have an affair. But right away, he already treated her like trash. Like he just kicked her out right after, they had their fling. And I'm talking about like out in the street type of thing. And she, of course, is emotionally unstable. It didn't seem to matter that much to him because it was the intimacy that he was getting from her. And I guess they hooked up again several more times. And each time she thought, like, oh, she's more and more in love with this guy. It's not love, you guys, it's lust. All right. Those situations, it's lust. So she allows herself to be falling in lust with this guy and confusing it with love. Then it traumatized her, and I think it still does. But what I was reading so far, it seems like day after day after day, all she wrote about was him. She was also an addict, so she was trying to deal with that. But it seems to me that being so obsessed with the narcissist or with an ex or with somebody who's, she should not have even been with him. I mean, I don't know. It's so bizarre watching and reading getting into somebody's mind where they are so broken. They're so, their life is so messed up that they're just swirling around and they don't even realize that they have no foundation. So that's why it's really important to start building your foundation. Before you start trying to heal from the surface, you got to clean out the dirt that's underneath, right? And she did not spend the time cleaning out the dirt underneath. She thought she was, but what she was really doing is she was going into group therapy that dealt with very topical stuff. And dealt with, telling her how empowered she is, and you can do this, and you can get this done. But she really needed to go back and see why she did what she did. Why was she even interested in a guy who she knew was married? Like, I don't think there was a question about that. Don't do that, right? Be the kind of person that is not tempted by the wrong things. Okay. So that has to come from you building up your own morals, your own um, standards. And you have to do some work on that. Once you start doing that for yourself, once you decide, like, no, I'm never going to get involved with a married person, there has to be some standard, right? You can't just rush in wherever your emotions take you, because your emotions are going to land you into some crazy, horrible situations that's going to damage you even further, right? So make sure that you're working on building yourself up, not falsely, not like, what do you call it? Oh, I can't even think of the word, but not just topically. You don't want to just do it to look good on the outside. Like, look at me, I'm so confident and I feel good about myself. But really inside, you haven't dealt with what. So that was her situation. On the outside, she looked good, she sounded good, she was probably even the light of the party at times. And, but inside, she was a total wreck. And the reason we know she's a total wreck is because whatever guy came into her life and wanted to use her, she was ready for that. She's like, okay, no big deal. Let me tell you, when you do that, you're really showing that you don't value yourself when you just go with your emotions and allow people to use you. So you want to work on not on actually being able to say no. You want to be able to work on saying, I have a boundary here, and the boundary is, if I don't know you, then I'm not going to be giving you access to me, right? You can do that. You have the strength, and you have the will, and you have the right to do that. So anyway, you guys, sorry, I kind of got off of there a little bit, but just talking about how hard it is not to take the narcissist back if you are still in a wounded spot, right? If you're still wounded and the narcissist tries to hoover you back in, they've checked you out, they're spying on you, they're seeing that you haven't moved on, you're not with somebody else, and they're thinking, oh, and this, by the way, when you're looking good, you've made some improvements in your life, you're working on yourself, that is going to draw the narcissist back, by the way. They're going to want some of that. They're going to want that stability back in their life. So they're going to try to hoover you back in. Now, you want to have worked on the trauma in your life and who you are and why you do the things you do. You want to work on that, because when they try to hoover you back in, you want to be strong enough to recognize that that's a lie, that what they're promising is a lie. What they're promising is more feature faking. And you're going to have to be able to discern that. And you'll be able to do it if you're in a healthy mind, right? But also, even if you're still wounded and you see they're trying to hoover you back in, I'll give you a technique right now that will help you from falling for it, even if you're still wounded. You make a list. Like tonight, make a list. And I was reading this person's, account of their trauma or their relationship with their ex, and the list that they made was not a good list. I want you to make the kind of list that details the really crummy, horrible, bad times and things that they did. Do not even write the good. I think that's what happened with this person. They wrote a pro and con list. Don't do a pro and con list. Just do a con list, okay? Right? All the bad things. Because if you do a con list and then you try to write the pros with it, what will happen is you're going to ignore the con when they try to contact you. Or even when you're late at night and you're thinking about them and you're lonely and you look at that list, what you're going to end up doing is looking at the pros and ignoring the cons. So don't even write the pros, write the cons about this person. And you have to be reminded when they do call, when they do try to hoover you back in, you go to that con list and you're going to realize, no, you're going to want to run in the other direction. You're not going to want to have them coming back into your life when you take a look at that list. Okay? Now, if you have a pro, a con, and a pro list, when they call you, you're going to be, guess where your mind's going to go? You're going to go to the pro list. Oh, but they did this and they were good and then we had a great time, and you're going to remember the good things, and you're going to sabotage yourself. So don't do that. Anyway, that's a huge, huge tool, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like that, BB Scott. Boundaries are amateur level, standards are for pros. Yes. I haven't heard it that way. I like it. I like that. Boundaries, but yeah, yeah. People always feel like they have boundaries. It's really interesting. Oh, I'll give you another tip about boundaries. People, we all think that we have boundaries, right? We all walk around like, of course, I don't allow someone to walk into my house, start eating my food, start taking money out of my wallet, or grabbing my car keys and leaving with them, leaving with my car. Now, that can be seen as a boundary, I guess, but realistically, what is a boundary? A boundary is not a boundary unless there are consequences. Okay, you guys, that would be a boundary. So if someone takes advantage of you, but then there are no consequences to it, like you give them no consequences to it, then it was never a boundary. Like if someone cheats on you and then they beg and they cry and you yell at them or whatever, right? And you're like, I can't trust you again. And they cry and they're like, I won't ever do it again. And you're like, okay. And you take them back. And then the second time they cheat on you and you're like, I can't believe you did that again. And they cry and they cry and they cry. And then you take them back. And the third time they do it, you're upset with them and you're yelling at them. You get into this big old fight. And this time it lasts maybe a week, right? You kick them out for a week and then you take them back in. There has been really no consequences. The consequences can't be just you're yelling at them and you getting mad at them. The consequence has to actually have a long lasting effect on them, which is to say, now that you have done this, you no longer live here. Like, give me your key, right? There has to be some consequence. And then they have to prove themselves before they can move back in. They can't just say, oh, I'm so sorry, and then cry and beg and all that. And then you just give them the key to come back in. Like, that means there's really no consequence. Because to a narcissist, to a manipulator, the consequence of having to beg and cry is not a big consequence at all, right? The fact is, if you kick them out and they have to get their life together, and once they get their life together and they still want you, and they've built a good life and they got themselves cleaned up and they got themselves in a good on a good path, and they look to you and they're like they still want you in their life, that is the kind of effect you want your consequences to have. You want your consequences to make them have to change course. Now, if you have the kind of consequence where you're just yelling at them and they don't ever change course, there's no consequence. That's not really a consequence. Just having some. So what happens is they just get used to the yelling. They just get used to fighting with you, and then they know they can always come back in. So that's the difference between boundaries, that we think we have, and real boundaries. Real boundaries have consequences. If there's a fence there and you go running into the fence, you're going to hurt yourself, right? But if there's a fence there, but then you just hop over it and it's so low, you can just hop over it. What's to keep you from continually hopping over it? You just have to deal with a little bit of inconvenience of having to hop, right? Having to jump. So no big deal. You'll just jump over it. But you build that fence high enough, that boundary, and there's a consequence when you come up and or the person comes up and runs against it. They're going to hit it. It's going to hurt. And they're not going to be able to get through no matter how many times they run up against it. That's a boundary. All right, you guys. Just wanted to share that with you. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming on. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to wrap up what you were saying, but we are at the end of our happy crappy hour. I am so glad that you guys came on. Sevars, thank you. I'm glad. Says I'm learning a lot. Good. I'm glad to see that. Here's another thing. When you're thinking about a boundary, think about appropriate consequences to that boundary. Okay? Like, oh, I'll give you an instance, and it seems very small, but say you have a friend that stands you up. Okay? You schedule to meet for a coffee date, and they call you at the last minute and they stand you up. Okay, I can understand maybe their car broke down, maybe something real happened. Okay, one time. Now, the second time, they stand you up. Okay, now we don't negotiate with when's a good time for them to get together. It's when's a good time for me. Okay, so, and also where we meet. It's going to be convenient to me. I'm not going to meet someplace close to you to make it convenient for you. I'm going to meet someplace close to me, and maybe not even just close to me, but in the possibility that they don't show up again, you just kind of keep going. Like you schedule them in a way that if they don't show up, it doesn't matter, and that you just keep doing. So maybe they have to come to your house, right? Maybe they have to come meet you at your work and have a cup of coffee or whatever, or drink at the bar around the corner from your work. So you schedule it there. And if they don't show up, no big deal. You have yourself, you were going to meet other people there anyway, or this is a spot you normally go to anyway, and you enjoy it. And then you go home. You don't care, you know. Now, the next time they call you and they want to meet up, and you're like, no, not really. Like, maybe you can show up and come to group gatherings. Maybe you can come, and build this relationship with me when I'm already doing other social things. So you have to have consequences. You don't just continually let them decide the parameters every time for them to take advantage of you, right? So these are different consequences that you can give them. Just wanted to share that with you. So, oh, thank you. BB Scott says, good analogy. Escape. Yes, you're welcome. And, oh, good. Sivar says, thank you, everyone. I'm starting to feel better. Yay. So glad. So glad. And I'm glad that you guys made it on today, you guys. It's been so good to chat with you. I hope that you did get something out of this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, comment, and share my videos. I am not really pushing these videos very hard at all. I just wanted to give us all a forum to come together once a week and share our lives and share what we're going through, share what we're learning, because that's how we get better. My goal is for us to get better and not be obsessed, right? Not be stuck, not be beholden or attached to what could have been. We want to move towards what is and what is amazing in front of us. So that's where I want to get you guys. So thank you so much for showing up, and I will see you guys next week. Have a blessed week, and I'm going to be praying for all of us. Been praying for all of you guys by name, in the name of Jesus. I think you guys are wonderful. I think that we're going to all do so well. Well, blessings to all of you guys, and I will see you next week.